Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Henning Kalwa, CEO and founder of ImagineHealth. At ImagineHealth, we connect patients from around the world to breakthrough technologies and therapies that can transform lives, like the next generation non-invasive neuromodulation solution we'll be discussing today. I'm honored to be joined by Parag Gad, co-founder and CEO of SpineX. Parag is a pioneer in the field of non-invasive neuromodulation and has dedicated his career to developing life-changing solutions for people living with neurological conditions. Under his leadership, SpineX is bringing us xStep, a revolutionary spinal cord neuromodulation device designed for home use, aimed at restoring mobility and independence for people with spinal cord injury, cerebral palsy, stroke, and other neurological disorders. Today, we'll be exploring the story of SpineX, Parag's personal journey and passion, and our exciting partnership between SpineX and ImagineHealth, and what it all means for patients worldwide. Parag, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you for the invitation. Really looking forward to share with you all the SpineX story.
Excellent. Parag, before we get into the exciting work you are doing today and what's ahead, I'd love to take a step back and hear about the beginning of SpineX. Every great innovation starts with a story, often a personal one or a powerful need that hasn't been addressed. Can you share with us how SpineX came to be? What was the original inspiration behind founding this company?
SpineX for me has been a life's journey. I've been personally involved with this technology for now coming up on 17 years. So better part of my adult life I've spent in developing this technology right from its early grassroots levels to where it is today. But if you take a step back, this is not something that happened overnight. It's been a life's journey for not just myself, but also a lot of our team members who spent several decades in understanding the basic science behind this, in exploring the possibilities, testing this at various levels before bringing this to patients that would benefit from this. So all in all, it's a culmination of decades of dedicated hard work, research, blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into developing this technology and making it available for people that desperately need it.
Yeah, I know you've been deeply involved in research and development in this field for a long time. What made you believe that neuromodulation, specifically non-invasive spinal cord neuromodulation, had the potential to change the game for people with neurological conditions?
As I said earlier, I think our technology is deep-rooted in science. And the primary question that's been driving our thinking all these years has been, what is the data telling you? There is obviously early skepticism if non-invasive neuromodulation would work, and knowing that neuromodulation has primarily been an implantable technology and we require a surgical intervention for neuromodulation devices to be used. So, there was a lot of pushback trying to, understand if non-invasive neuromodulation would even work in the first place. But all these years, the one driving factor, the one question that allowed us to focus was, what is the data telling us? All of our studies, all of our patients, all of our clinical trials and preclinical trials told us one simple answer, which is that non-invasive neuromodulation has the potential to treat the underlying condition and not just manage symptoms. And that really was the driving factor in pushing the boundaries and allowing us to get this to the next level.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced early in bringing on SpineX from an idea to reality?
As an early stage company, we were the new kids on the block, but while we had multiple hurdles, multiple challenges, both from a clinical, a regulatory, and acceptance perspective, we had our roadmap identified. We had identified our goals and milestones that we needed to achieve. And I think every step along the way, gaining the confidence of the key stakeholders and demonstrating to them that this technology is actually answering the questions that providing them with answers to the questions that they've been looking for. I think allowing us to, take just one step at a time really allowed us to get past those initial challenges.
Looking back at those early days you mentioned, what were some of these moments where you thought, yes, we're onto something that could really change lives?
I think one of the main driving factors and the aha moment really was seeing the technology in action. And this is something that's quite remarkable about neuromodulation. It is not something that takes months or even years to see an effect. The way neuromodulation functions is it allows us to see the impact almost instantaneously. And that's just how the technology is functioning. It's how it's developed. And those were the moments that kind of told us that, yeah, we're onto something here. This is not magic. This is not, something that you're imagining, but this is real, and allowing us to see it in action firsthand, and not just, looking at data, but also hearing what the patients are telling us and hearing their side of the story told us that, hey, we're onto something.
Well, thank you for sharing this. It's incredible, inspiring to hear how SpineX was born from both science and purpose. What drives you every day to push this mission forward, Parag?
It's a life's journey. I've spent 17 years now developing this technology, but taking a step back, growing up in and around healthcare, all my early years allowed my engineering mind to think about healthcare and medicine or medtech from an engineering perspective, and realizing that the redundancy built into the human body can be treated and can be leveraged to provide solutions which are currently not available. In addition to that, my training at UCLA under my mentor, Dr. Reggie Edgerton, who's considered as one of the father figures in the field of neuromodulation, allowed me to expand my horizons to see what else is possible. So, what drives me every day is knowing that we have a technology in hand that can help millions of people around the world, and it is our duty to get it to them.
Working in this space must be challenging though, right? Especially when lives are at stake, patients are waiting, patients are impatient, and the road to regulatory approval and patient adoption is complex. So what motivates you to keep going on a tough day?
I think this is just one motivation for all of us. Every day gone by is another day that these patients live without a solution. They have to live with the symptoms. They live with this debilitating condition. And another day gone by without these treatments is hundreds, if not thousands, of new patients that are being diagnosed with these conditions and building up to just living with these debilitating conditions without a solution in hand. So I think for us, the motivation is making these therapies available to these patients so that they don't have to live with their condition. They don't have to accept their conditions and see what else is out there.
Is there a special story or experience that really stays with you and reminds you why this work matters so much?
One of the key stories that sort of stays with me has been the first time we saw a 3-year-old child walk on his own. This is a video that we share often in a lot of our presentations when we talk to folks. And for a child, for a parent, seeing that 3-year-old child needing a wheelchair for moving around can be heartbreaking. And moving from that condition, that position, to now being able to walk on his own independently for the first time, I think that's life-changing. And that is something that can stay with you. And as a parent, as someone with young kids, you would do anything for your kid. And knowing that their kid is now able to walk is something that will remain with you for the rest of your life.
Now let's shift gears a little and talk about the science. SpineX has made some incredible progress, not just in development, but also in research and clinical validation. Could you walk us through some of the key milestones you've achieved so far and give us a glimpse into the research that's currently underway?
Before we get into that, I just want to take a few minutes to just take a step back and sort of paint a picture about how we got to where we are today. And like I said earlier, this technology is deeply based on science and, decades of early research that was done. So it's a lot of the milestones that we've achieved over the last 5 years that SpineX has been active is based on some of those early results that were observed and our team demonstrating them for the first time ever. As a company, we've achieved some key milestones, being able to conduct clinical trials, being able to conduct these studies in individuals living with neurological conditions such as spinal cord injury, stroke, multiple sclerosis, children living with cerebral palsy. That in itself has been a huge achievement, demonstrating success within a matter of weeks, and the level of functional gain possible after just a few treatment sessions compared to these individuals living for decades has been an achievement in itself. To expand on that, being able to take our early results to the US FDA and gaining breakthrough designation for not one, but for two separate clinical indications using the same platform technology. I think that was one of the highlights for us over the last few years. In addition, being able to successfully complete the world's largest clinical trial focused on neurogenic bladder. So this is individuals living with a spinal cord injury or stroke leading to loss of bladder function. I think that in itself was a huge accomplishment for us. And that consisted of over 5,000 hours of treatment that was undertaken, probably another 5 to 10,000 hours of data analysis to get to where we are today. And the last key achievement that I'm really proud of as a company is that we have been able to support not just trials that we are running, but also trials that are being conducted by other investigators around the world. And I'm proud to say that we now have clinical trials ongoing in 4 different continents, in North America, in Europe, in Asia, as well as in Australia, that are catering to the needs of individuals living with neurological conditions.
One thing that stands out, Parag, about SpineX is the emphasis on non-invasive solutions. How has the research proven that you can achieve these kinds of remarkable results without invasive procedures or even surgeries?
That's a great question. And I think for us as a group, we focus heavily on the primary question that we asked ourselves when we started the company, which is, what is the data telling us? And that really drove our thinking to ensure and identify what these effects were. And the early skepticism that we ourselves had, as well as what the scientific and clinical community shared with us, was that non-invasive neuromodulation may not work. But our data told us otherwise. And when we look at the data, what stands out for SpineX is we're one of the only technologies that is focused entirely on non-invasive neuromodulation and have been successful in demonstrating a level of functional gain possible after not years, but decades after initial trauma, which has not been seen prior to this.
I know there have been multiple clinical studies and some very promising outcomes, especially for individuals with SCI and CP. Can you highlight what has been most exciting or surprising in the data?
As a company, what we've developed is really a platform technology. And I wouldn't really call it surprising, but I would call it as a standout observation, is that this platform technology has the ability to treat the underlying condition for multiple pathologies, be it spinal cord injury, stroke, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy. It has the ability to treat multiple indications, right? From moving your hands and arms, restoring breathing function, restoring bladder bowel sexual function, spasticity, to name a few. And most strikingly, it has the ability to treat individuals that have been injured or have been living with paralysis for as early as 6 months to as far out as 50 years. So the underlying condition, the underlying hypothesis still remains the same, which is that what we are targeting is the neurons in the spinal cord that are controlling function. And what people have historically considered as muscle memory is actually spinal memory. And the ability to tap into that spinal memory is what drives our technology. So that's really our standout observation.
Can you explain us the device in layman terms? I know you referenced to as a hearing aid. Maybe if in simple words, you can explain to the audience what the xStep device actually does.
So when there's a trauma that occurs between anywhere in the spinal cord or the brain, the communication between the brain, spinal cord, and muscle is lost. And because of that loss in function, the signals that are transmitted from the brain to the muscle is cut out due to that trauma. But the signals are still present. They're just not strong enough. So the best way to describe our technology that's driving xStep is it's a combination of a hearing aid and a spinal pacemaker. So like a pacemaker drives your heart with a certain rhythm, we are able to drive the neurons in the spinal cord to activate those neurons and activate those networks and amplify the weak nerve signals that are communicating between the brain, spinal cord, and muscle. Essentially, like a hearing aid. So when you combine these two concepts together, you're able to restore bilateral communication between the brain, spinal cord, and muscle, allowing more normal-like communication that you'd expect.
What's currently in the pipeline, Parag? Are there any ongoing studies or trials that you are particularly excited about, maybe exploring new indications or expanding the use cases for your device?
Yeah, we've got lots of exciting steps planned for the near future. Like I mentioned earlier, our neurogenic bladder trial was recently completed, which is a huge accomplishment. We have a second pivotal trial looking at US FDA approval, focused entirely on the pediatric population, that is children living with cerebral palsy. That's in the pipeline and being planned right now. In terms of next steps, we're looking at gaining regulatory approval for marketing purposes, both in the US and OUS, and looking at how we can get this technology to individuals living with paralysis, not just in the US, but also worldwide.
Worldwide, indeed. That's the key word. Thank you, Parag. It's incredible to hear about the depth of research and the milestones SpineX has achieved so far, and even more exciting to think about where this technology is headed next. But of course, no matter how groundbreaking technology is, it only makes an impact if it reaches the people who need it. When I personally first learned about SpineX and xStep, it was immediately clear that this technology had the potential to change lives, not years from now, but today. That brings us to our partnership, Parag. From your perspective, why is this partnership with ImagineHealth such an important step for SpineX? And how do you see it helping patients around the world?
Well, I think that's an interesting way to put it. And I would point back to the brand name itself, ImagineHealth. So far, people have been told to accept what their current condition is and to live with that condition. But as you rightly put it, imagine health. Imagine what else is possible to your health and what can be achieved. And that's really the key to our partnership, which is we have a technology, we have proven the functional gains that are possible. And ImagineHealth here is creating a platform to make these technologies available to individuals that need them. So we're really excited to partner with ImagineHealth to offer these technologies to people around the world to see what's beyond what they currently live with.
Yeah, I'm equally excited. People need hope and they need options. SpineX is based in the US, and you've done incredibly work there. You highlighted it today. But with ImagineHealth, we're now introducing xStep to international patients. How important is global access to you, and what challenges or opportunities do you see in scaling this internationally?
We receive emails every week from people around the world wanting to know how can they get access to our technology, how can they be part of our clinical trials, or where can they buy our devices. So while we're a US-based company, our vision is worldwide, and we know that this technology can impact millions of people around the world. And as a non-invasive treatment option, it is an affordable option compared to implantable neuromodulation technology. So it is not something that is only possible for a subset of the population. So we are really excited. We know that the opportunities are not limited to the US market only. And as a non-invasive treatment option that is relatively safe, we know we can have a huge impact on people worldwide.
And what do you hope patients that may be watching, especially those that have been waiting for new options, take away from this collaboration?
What I want every individual to take away from this is that what you've been told to accept your current condition and to live with that current condition, I think that is history. We know the functional gains that are possible. I want people to take away that there's a lot more to offer, and over the next few years, or the next few months, these therapies will be available, and that will open up new opportunities for not just individuals that have been recently suffered an injury and living with paralysis, but also that have been living with paralysis for decades. So I'm really excited, and I hope that our partners, our clinical partners, our hospital partners will share this enthusiasm with us.
In a sense, this partnership is about accessibility, affordability, and giving people hope, making sure that patients around the world have the opportunity to benefit from innovations like this one, xStep. Parag, thank you very much once again for taking the time to share your journey, your passion, and the incredible work you and the team at SpineX are doing. It's clear that what started as a scientific pursuit has grown into something far more impactful, a mission to transform lives, restore hope, people around the world living with neurological conditions. At ImagineHealth, we're proud to be your partner in bringing xStep and SpineX neuromodulation technology to patients worldwide. If you are a patient, caregiver, or healthcare professional interested in learning more, please contact us. Parag, any final words of encouragement you'd like to leave with us?
I think Imagine Health is doing some amazing work in the field of healthcare. And I would highly encourage each and every one that you're a individual living with paralysis, a caregiver, a hospital, a staff, a physician to reach out, to contact us, contact Imagine Health, contact SpineX to try and understand what are the solutions that are being offered and how could our technology, how our platform, and how this partnership could benefit you, your family members, the people you serve, the people you care for.
Thank you all for joining us today. This is just the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you.